What is reps in reserve, otherwise known as RIR? Reps in reserve is a gauge of how close to failure we train. It is on a 0 to 5 point scale, and it measures how many more reps we had in the tank. So 0 RIR would mean that we had no more reps left in the tank. We had 0. We could not have done one more. 1 RIR means we had 1 rep left in the tank, so we could have done 1 more rep. 2 RIR means we could have done 2, etc., all the way up to 5. Now, the reason it's on a 0 to 5 point scale is because any training higher than 5 reps in reserve is not effective training. If you do a set with 6 reps in reserve, meaning that when that set ended, you could have done another 6 reps, that set was nowhere near challenging enough to build muscle. And so the minimum cutoff for reps in reserve is 5. Every set you do, you must have at least 5 reps left in the tank or less. If you have more than 5, it's not challenging enough. Now, reps in reserve refers to how many more reps we could have done with the same exact form. And that point is important to mention because we all know that with any exercise, we can always get more reps if we cheat the form. So for example, if I'm doing bench press and I go to failure on bench press, I can always squeeze out another 2-3 reps if I just cut the form down and, like do half rep. You can't even see what I'm doing, but damn, my chest squeaking like a bitch as well. You can, let's say you do bench press here, you can always get 2 or 3 more reps if you just half rep it and only go halfway down. So when we talk about how many more reps we have in reserve, we refer to how many more reps we have in reserve with the same identical form and technique that we've been using up until that point, up until the point of failure. This refers to not only the range of motion in the rep, so not half repping, but also whether we're pausing it at the bottom or we're using the slow eccentric. If you do a set of 10 paused reps, but then you can't do the 11th rep paused, so then you don't pause the 11th rep at the bottom, you're cheating, bro. You're cheating the form. And like we always talk about when it comes to building muscle, we never ever cheat the form. You may cheat on your barber, may cheat on your girl, but you will never cheat the form when it comes to building muscle, right? Form always stays the same. So when you talk about how many reps you have in reserve, those reps must be with the same identical form you've used up until that point. How many reps in reserve should I train at? Now we've said that the reps in reserve scale is on a 0 to 5 point scale, meaning that if you train with 5 reps in reserve, you're still gonna make gains. That's what the science says. But in my experience, I think 5 reps in reserve is way too far from failure for you to make gains. For most people, and this is what I do in my training, I recommend 0 to 3 reps in reserve. 3 reps in reserve should be the minimum that any of your sets end at. If you can do another 4 reps when your set ended, in my opinion, that set wasn't hard enough and you could have pushed harder and you would have made more gains if you went closer to failure. So for most exercises, 0 to 3 reps in reserve. Now for me personally, I actually do 0 to 1 on all exercises. On my safe exercises, such as a lot of isolations, a lot of machine movements, I will go to 0 reps in reserve. And I'll explain what that means in a sec, but basically failure. For my riskier exercises, and this is what I recommend for you, so for example, a bench press with no spotter, or a barbell squat, leave 1 rep in the tank. Don't go to complete failure. Don't take them 50-50 reps in which you might not get it and you might then crush yourself and die because you don't want to be doing that shit, bro. So 1 rep in reserve on risky exercises, 0 reps in reserve on non-risky exercises. And for a young guy, which I'm guessing you are, going to 0 RIR often isn't gonna bury you to the ground. Like your fatigue isn't gonna be that great that you're gonna need to take a deload week like every 3 weeks. Like, no, you'll be good, bro. You're a young guy, you're healthy, you eat well, you sleep well, you're gonna be good training to failure on most exercises. Provided you're not training every single day and provided you're not like going to failure on these exercises in addition to like going for a 10K run every day or some other shit like that, like your recovery is gonna be good. Oh, and I also mentioned that I'm gonna explain the difference between 0 RIR and failure. So the only difference between 0 RIR and failure is that when it comes to hitting failure, you attempted the rep that you knew you wouldn't get. Or sometimes you don't even know you can't get it, like you just accidentally misgauge failure and what the fuck am I trying to say? You accidentally misgauge how close you are to failure and therefore you attempt a rep thinking you could get, but then you don't. But anyways, that's beside the point. The difference is failure is you attempted a rep and you failed it. 0 RIR means you knew you couldn't get the next rep and you didn't attempt it. So for example, on a squat, 0 RIR would look like this, right? I've just gone down for my last rep. I come back up out the bottom and I know I couldn't get 1 more. So I rack the weight. Failure, on the other hand, will look like this. I've just come up out the bottom at my last rep. I know I probably can't get another rep, but fuck it. I still go down in the hole, come up about halfway, can't get it up, drop the bar, and that's it. That's failure. So that's the only difference between 0 RIR and failure. Zero RIR, you don't attempt that next rep. Failure is you attempted it and you failed it. Simple as that. If you want to know how to progressively overload, I actually have this video right here that teaches the ins and outs of progressive overload using a technique called dynamic double progression. But if you want something even more in depth, I am offering free coaching. So you can hop on a call with me. We can get to know each other. I'll explain to you everything I know about building muscle, getting jacked, progressive overload in about a 20 to 30-minute call for completely free, bro. So if you want to chat to me, hop on a call, get to know each other a little bit, just click the first link in the description, book yourself on any of the times that I'm available. Or if you're unsure, just drop your Instagram down below and I'll reach out to you. And then if you want to chat, if you want me to help you with anything, let's do that for completely free. I'm not going to charge anything. I'm going to ask for your money or your credit card. Forget all of that. Let me just help you get jacked. How do I accurately gauge reps in reserve? Well, since reps in reserve is a subjective feel, since we are guessing how many more reps we think we have, it all comes down to experience. You're just going to have to go to failure on different exercises many times in your training career to know what failure feels like, so that you then know what 1 rep shy from failure and 2 reps shy and then 3 reps shy from failure feels like. And so when it comes to training with RIR and getting better at gauging at it, what I'd say is don't worry, bro. Don't worry that you don't know what it means yet. As long as you know what RIR means, which I'm hoping you do after today's video, the longer you train, the more experience you'll get with it and you just understand it better. It's just all experience, bro. That's all it is. Like, I know it's a bit of a shit answer and you kind of want me to tell you some actionable steps you can take to better gauge RIR, but it's really all just time and experience. Let those 2 things do their thing, right? Just train regularly, go close to failure regularly in the 0 to 3 reps in reserve range that I recommend, and you'll soon find out what it feels like to go close to failure on different exercises. Now, the last part of that sentence, on different exercises, is an important one to mention because training different parts of the body feels different when you get to failure. And what I mean is legs, for example. When you train legs, going to failure on legs requires way more composure, way more thinking and way more effort than going to failure on chest. When I train chest, for example, I know when I'm close to failure. I know when I've got 1 rep left or when I don't have any more reps left. Whereas on legs, it can be very deceiving. Probably because legs requires quite a big cardio aspect and training legs is like a full body movement, kinda. But a lot of times your brain will tell you you're done when you have way more left. And this refers back to what Goggins says. He always says the mind gives up before the body, right? But what happens when training legs, let's take hack squats for example, you will think you're done and you will think you have 0 reps in reserve. But I promise you, if someone like Roddy Coleman was there shouting in your ear, telling you like, do more reps, you would get at least another 2. And so with legs especially, the experience part is very, very important. You're just gonna have to man up, not be a fucking bitch, and just take a couple of your leg training sets to complete failure so that you know what it feels like, so that you know what it feels like to fucking train your legs hard, bro. Like, I know legs sucks, but legs is the hardest one to gauge failure. And that's why we need to just go to failure enough times in our training career so that we know what that feels like. Now, I mentioned that gauging how close you are to failure all comes down to experience. But what I have for you, which will make that experience part even easier, is a full video tutorial on how to train hard. I give all my best tips in this video right here. So what I recommend is, since you've watched this video to the very end, you're clearly interested in training hard to go to failure and count your reps in reserve. So what you need to know next is how to do that. Click this video right here. It will teach you exactly all my best tips on how to train hard and the importance of it. With that being said, if I'm on your screen right now, then I've kept your interest somehow. Drop me a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It's kind of cringe saying this stuff at the end, but fuck it, man. YouTube games, YouTube gaming it. Drop me a like, subscribe, watch that video next, and I'll catch you in the next one. Love, bro. Thank you for watching. You're the fucking man.